Welcome to the Soul Revival Podcast, where we have deep and meaningful conversations exploring modalities, tools, and healing, guiding you back to your most expansive soul self.
Welcome back to another episode of the Soul Revival Podcast. Today, Lindsay and I are talking about soul contracts and how they might show up in your life, who they might be with, how they might help you and align you with your soul essence. And so, without further ado, Lindsay's going to start off this episode with a lot of different stories and information. So, let's learn a little from her.
Yeah, I think this is really important. I think we both have a lot of stories to share on this front. If so, I just want to say that if you're not familiar with the concept of soul contract or soul family, this is the idea that we travel as a soul group. So our souls reincarnate together with other people that we've had past lives with. So where I think that you would recognize this the most, if this is a new concept to you, is if you met somebody and you just have this immediate feeling, this sense that like you've known them before, or you know exactly what they're going to do next. Like, you know, literally like their body language, their movements, their expressions before you should know those things. That is definitely an indicator of somebody traveling with you and having been in past lives. It's like this instant recognition that you feel like you know them on this deeper level than you technically should in this physical incarnation, because maybe you've never even met them before until now that you know of, but you probably traveled together previously. So that's kind of the concept of soul family, which is very tightly aligned with soul contracts. Soul contracts kind of takes it a little bit further, and soul contracts could be like a learning, a growth, an expansion that you have with another being, and it goes beyond humans. This includes our animal friends and animal companions as well. That help you with your soul's growth. So you could have a soul contract that actually repeats itself. So there could be like nuances with a soul contract, or it could be like the soul contract was to help you with a certain area. Like maybe the soul contract was about you healing. Maybe the soul contract was about you expanding your ability to love more. And that can show up in different ways. Like a soul contract to expand your ability to love could show up as you playing a caregiver role multiple times in multiple relationships or in multiple incarnations. So that's just kind of foundationally what we're going to be talking about today.
I love that you say that because I also want to emphasize, okay, well, when you meet someone that you've had a past life with, it's almost like an electrifying feeling. Like you feel it on every multi-dimensional feeling of your body, memory, emotional, spiritual, mental, physical. You just know, there's something there. I also want to so, if you haven't listened to our episode on soul essence, I think it's very important to go back and listen to that episode on soul essence because people get confused with twin flames and soul contracts. So, people can be omnipresent and the energy of them can show up in different forms. So, I feel that I just want to mention this really quick in this episode because people feel like, oh, I have one twin flame and this is the person that I need to be with the rest of my life. And I feel like that is a fear-based mentality. I feel like that is a construct like it makes you small because there's so many different ways that that person can show up for you to close out that contract or that loop. And I feel like there's so many different forms of twin flames out there that can come back in your life. And I'm mentioning this because in a lot of different readings I've been doing, people are so um stuck on that one twin flame and and they limit themselves because it could come back and you could really heal that contract with the person that's meant for you. And
Autumn,
I yes.
I'm sorry to interrupt you, but I just have to say nothing debunks this even bigger than going back to the first couple episodes of this season launch and my story. If you want to have a debunk of the whole idea of a single twin flame, go listen to the 3 parts that we did on my love life.
Yes, Lindsay, seriously, this whole entire season debunks it. But I feel like people listening maybe need to hear this because it's so important not to limit yourself. There's so many different ways that soul contracts and soul families show up.
We want to express deep gratitude for everybody who sponsors the podcast. It really, really matters. It allows us to invest our time, effort, and energy in bringing you the most relevant spiritual content. So if you're feeling called, please subscribe, click like, leave a review, or sponsor the podcast. We very, very much appreciate you.
Like your intuition will tell you this. After Roger passed, I had this deep intuitive knowing that we had spent multiple lifetimes together, many, many lifetimes together. And I knew that actually part of the reason my grief weight felt so big, so expansive was because I was actually grieving all of the lifetimes that we were separated from each other, whether it was him passing before me or me passing before him. And I did multiple past life regressions that completely validated this. I also had a deep knowingness, and it turns out she did too. Once I had the conversation with her, that my stepdaughter, Megan, was in multiple lifetimes of mine, and that she was actually my daughter. So one of the times I did, yeah, and it was so
Oh, I have chills. I have chills.
I know. I was telling her the stories of my regressions, and during one of my past life regressions, I witnessed myself giving birth. Like it was like maybe like, I don't know, 1800s or something like that. And there was like a midwife helping me give birth. Roger was with me and was next to my side, next to the bed. And I watched this baby being born from me. And I the past life regressionist like guides you if you're going through a good, working with somebody that's really good and knows what they're doing. Anybody trained by Brian Weiss, who is like the godfather of past life regressions, will guide you and ask you questions because it's so weird. I'd never been hypnotized before and I had no concept of it, but you're totally like with it. It's almost like a lucid dream. You know what's going on with your physical body, but you also are completely present in this past time in your past life. And he asked me what the baby's name was, and I answered and I started crying, like tears just started pouring from my eyes uncontrollably, which again is a truth tell for me. And I was sharing this story to Megan, and I started to say it was you, and she finished my sentence. And it was just crazy. It was just
Oh
crazy.
my
And she knew
gosh.
even the name. She knew the name. And it was like total validation for both of us. Our bodies viscerally knew that this was truth. So we have been we have been in soul family, had soul contracts together many, many times before.
I love that. That just gave me so many chills, so many chills. And Lindsay, even you and I, so previously before Lindsay and I started the podcast in this community, we were in a former community together. And every time I was leading any event, I would literally search through the screens until I saw Lindsay. There was something about her soul essence, her energy that would just ground me. Okay, I am safe. I'm protected. Like there's nothing that can happen because Lindsay's here. And when she wasn't here, I'd always make sure to send her a message. Oh, you were here tonight. Like I missed you, but there's a soul family here with Lindsay and I too, and I just know it because just I mean, if you haven't heard about Lindsay and I's connection and gathering, I would go back to season one and listen to it, but it's phenomenal, and there's just no denying the truth that spirit has led us together with all the breadcrumbs that has happened and the truth that speaks through us. So I'm very grateful for Lindsay as well. But there's so many different breadcrumbs out there when spirit's trying to connect you back to your soul family or your soul contracts, or even give like because some soul contracts are here to teach you lessons. They're here to grow your soul. They're here to evolve and expand your soul. And people get so I feel like tight on the soul
Yeah,
contracts.
anything that's restrictive, any energy that's restrictive or limiting, that's not aligned with truth of your soul essence.
And
Uh,
there's a lesson to learn there. There's a
yeah,
lesson to learn there if it
yeah.
feels tight.
Yeah, and just to go back to definitely soul contract and you being in my soul family, months before, I mean, probably 6 to 12 months before we both collectively got the download about doing this community together versus doing our own separate communities, I had this deep knowingness that um several of us were going to be doing something together, and there was going to be something with at least one person from the past community. Like I started getting just hits about that way before everything kind of came to fruition. The other thing I want to mention, and this is going to seem random, um, I Kim and I just watched this series on Netflix called Ripple, and it's kind of like that old movie with Gwyneth Paltrow, which I still need to watch, but it's like this, I think it's called Sliding Doors from like the late 80s, early 90s. But the concept of like every little thing matters. So like if you pick up a stone on the sidewalk, or if your GPS takes you down a different route than you thought you were going to go, like it's all the nuggets that put us in the right place to find our soul family. And and our story, obviously Kim and I's story is a perfect example of this. And if you listen to the first, couple episodes of the season, like we quote unquote randomly met like in coves, like these dedicated spots that we were listening to a concert together for 3 days. But literally every time we saw each other, there was like a lit up energy. And this can present itself in any type of relationship, but your soul, whether you like your human brain, your egoic mind lets you recognize it or not, your soul instantly recognizes that other soul. And so it is like it does tie back completely to the soul essence, because it's like there's an instant like sparking recognition. And you might find yourself like we do it all the time, and we've done it all the time since we air quotes met in this lifetime. um Finish each other's sentences, use the same words, make the same movements, do the same things. Like these are all cues that somebody has been with you multiple lifetimes, and we've like absorbed the soul essence of that person and recognize it instantly, and are like they're part of our core soul family.
I love that. I love that you say like, "Oh, you finished each other's sentences." That's so truth. Like that's exactly what happens. I always tell Mark like, "Get out of my mind. Get out of my mind," because he's constantly just knowing exactly what I need, what I'm thinking. I love that vibration. But even when I was younger, so I knew at like probably I would say 13 years old, 12 or 13 years old, that I was going to marry Mark. Mark and I aren't married, but we've been together almost 11 years now. So, I mean, technically, but I always knew I was going to marry Mark. I always knew it. And so I would just, kind of like, I wasn't ready yet. I wasn't ready yet. I wasn't ready. And then finally, when I decided to meet up with him and meet him for the first time, we've been inseparable since. And there's been so much growth. And that's what I want to mention too, because um, with soul families and soul contracts and things like that, you guys are meant to, or coming from my own point of view, but you're meant to grow together. So if someone's triggering you and you're triggering them, there's meant to be this next level growth. So if one of you are growing and the other is not growing, that's a contract and that's not meant to stay forever. But there's so much magic when you meet the person that grows you in the way that you're meant to evolve and in your soul self and finding that soul essence again, because I feel like I was so constructed by different people's identities of me that, urgency was something that, oh man, when things happened, I needed to get it done and I needed to get it done now. And there was no patience and there was just this, and this. And Mark really taught me how to find my own presence again in patience and just acceptance and flow in the present moment. And I'm forever grateful for that because without that, it really makes you in that fight or flight mode of just like, it's happening to me, it's happening to me, it's happening to me. And finding that right person can really help you explore your heart in a way where it's like, no, exactly what you said, Lindsay, it's happening for me. Like finding that rock, taking that wrong turn. Just on
Yeah.
Christmas, we were heading up to Mark's aunt's house and I took three wrong exits. So if you know Illinois and you know the tollway, that's a huge like, oh, like how did I do this again? How did I do this again? But in that moment, like it was just like, oh, there wasn't anything that like made me fearful or mad or upset with myself. It was just like, it's happening for me. Maybe I'm missing traffic. Maybe I'm missing that car accident. Maybe,
Yeah.
there's just so much that is happening for you in those moments that really just accepting the whoopsie for what it was is bringing grace in and helping so much.
Yeah, exactly. And I mean, this has shown up in my life in so many ways, but I think, being have feeling worthy and having worthiness of receiving big, big love. Like, I had such a huge, big love, and Roger loved me so much and gave me so much love. And I think sometimes like we can be resistant to that. And maybe it's our soul's growth that we're worthy and able to receive that love and not giving up resistance and releasing resistance. And then it was like a relearning of that lesson when Kim came into my life, when I thought, like I was done with that chapter of my life. So this can show up in so many different ways in your life. I've also had it very much as a role of caregiving, which definitely translates to giving unconditional love and being there and being present no matter what. And I had this, with Roger, obviously, there was nothing more important to me than to give him and show him that love when he was sick. And then also with my dog, Valor, who those who've been following the podcast for a while now know about his reincarnation journey with me. But he had a disease that required constant care for about almost 2 years. And I was more than willing to give him that love and care. It was my honor to be able to give him that love and care. But it mirrored the situation with Roger very closely. And I think it just proves like those soul contracts with both of them were to help me expand in that capacity as well. My ability to expand my capacity to hold love and to give love.
Absolutely. Love is abundant. And I feel that when you are in connection with your soul essence and your truth, um, it's almost constantly overflowing with love. Sometimes, yes, you got to take a step back and do things for yourself. But I feel that if you are a caregiver and you're drained and you're on E and you're just like, when is the next step? Like, when is the next, break? Try to tap in more to your soul essence because channeling that energy in will give you that overflow of love to keep going. And when I say this is because they're giving me a story. Back when I was like 19 or 20, I was a caregiver for a older gentleman that had dementia. And he would not take medicine for anyone. He was actually very stubborn. He was a very stubborn old man, and he was just very in his ways. And even with dementia, I mean, he still could speak 7 different languages. So there was parts of him that still existed through him. But I came just in love, showing love because I wasn't with him 24/7, but I was with him for 8 hours a day, showing up with love to give him. And he would always call me an angel. He would always call me an angel, and through that love, I was able to get him to take his medicine that was meant for him. I was able to just have conversations and crack him open to the flow of love. So having the patience and allowing yourself to really step into what brings you joy gives that abundance of overflow of love. I hope I'm explaining this
Beautiful.
right.
Yes, that's
Um,
so beautiful.
and even just bringing in joy. So at the nursing home as well, every day was the same thing. Oh, you could play bingos or craft, and it's almost like boring. Like it's really boring. I mean, mind you, they might not remember they're doing this every day, but for me, it was boring. So for them, I mean, there's got to be some type of recognition that it's boring. So one day, I'm like, let's have a wedding. So I pretended to marry the janitor of this building. And it was amazing because everyone's just like, oh, thank you for inviting me. They were acting like they remembered me. They had no clue who I was, but it was a joy. They had so much laughter, so much happiness, just changing the scenery of things and inviting that fun and joy in and changing things up to just bring the magic in. I think really matters when and if you are going through something that every day is the same thing, just switch it up. Switch it up. I don't know where that's coming from, but someone needed to hear that.
Yeah.
Someone needed to hear that today. But I also just want to mention too, because I feel that dogs are, well, Lindsay, you know this, in any animal is a mirror reflection. So if I feel like with dogs, when they're sent to you at the time they're sent to you, they're here to open or have you explore a deeper meaning of your own essence. And I also feel that dogs carry some of your own soul essence through them to mirror back to you as well. I just keep thinking of my dog Aura. She is just so full of love and giving of love. And sometimes you need space, and she doesn't know how to give space. And I feel like that's something that I'm constantly doing too with my own family is just giving so much love. And sometimes they're like, Mom, I need a break. And I'm like, no, no, you don't. But yeah, it's just a
And
beautiful life we live.
yeah, I was going to say too, on the dog front or any animal companion, if you like, I know I'm a huge dog person, obviously, but and like anybody in the dog world will refer to like a soul dog, like, and that could be even if you have had multiple dogs, you have multiple dogs, that can be one that just like stands out. Like there's just something extra special with your connection with that animal. That 100% is like a sign that you have had them in your soul family before, and you may have played different roles. Like I know that my dog Dante and my dog Mateo have been like my sons in other lifetimes. So if you feel that like extra connection with an animal companion, it could be that you guys played other roles in each other's past lives too. So your contract might be that, you were their parent or they were your parent in a past life, and now in this life, it's reverse, you're their caregiver. So that could come through as well.
So trust your intuition when it's screaming to you. You know what you know, and you got to believe it. I love that you mentioned that because right when I was talking about Aura, I've always had this feeling that she was a human before in previous life. So that was validation for me. Thank you, Lindsay. But yeah, if you guys have any questions on, soul essence, go back to the first episode or the previous episode before this one. We speak really deep and get to what soul essence are and is and how it may feel and what it brings for our own hearts in this lifetime.
Yeah. And all the way around, soul essence, soul family, soul contract, trust your body. Your body's going to cue you in. You're going to know immediately. So, the through line on all three of those things that are so tightly aligned with each other is trust what your body is telling you about these topics.
Absolutely, absolutely. All right. I hope everyone has a great week. Thank you so much for tuning into the Soul Revival podcast, and we hope to see you next week.
Yeah. See you next week.
If you loved today's episode, don't forget to leave us a 5-star review. Follow our podcast. We release a new episode each and every week, and join us on Facebook inside the Soul Revival community. Come be a part of the magic. We'll see you there.